did you talk to friends/family? Yes and yes.
Everyone's kind of familiar with the game of whack-a-mole you're playing. Just popping up, asking questions.
It just takes time, and eventually you get it down, and you're a valued member of that department or team. Victoria, if you want to start it off.
All right. Okay. What sort of emotions, thoughts were you having before you started compared to the end of your first week?
There's a lot of similarities. I think there's more similarities than differences for me. Like, I didn't feel that comfortable after the first week. It was nervousness, kind of concern. How am I going to know all of this? How am I going to know everyone there? I felt a little bit more comfortable, but I think the nerves persisted through the first week, even into the second, maybe even third.
Yeah, and this is one of those jobs where you're not going to get everything on the same day, in the first week.
Still don't.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And especially at Bogart Wealth, you start in the operations department. There is a lot all at once, so it does take some time. I had the pleasure of being trained by Victoria, so she definitely, it was quick learning, but we're here now.
Throw you into the fire.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the point.
I am. I think the best practice for most cases is to learn as you go. Me personally, I find that if I do it myself, I learn better than just someone showing it to me. Honestly, I think when you're comparing your first part of the week to the end of your first week, it's that relief you made it through that first week that really, I think, is outstanding. You're like, wow, I got to meet all these people. I learned something new, and I'm able to do something that I haven't actually thought about doing before. And it's that relief feeling of, oh, I get to do it next week too.
Right. And it's new and it's exciting. And when you start, you think to yourself, there's no way I'll be able to do all of this.
Learn all this, yeah.
But by the end, you're telling yourself, okay, I mean, maybe months later, you're saying, wow, I am doing everything Victoria was trying to show me that first week. So
I think that's a good way to describe it too. It's, you don't notice it as you first learn it. It's months later and you start to think about it. Well, I just did that really easily. I didn't even know what I was talking about a couple months ago.
And I feel like with operations too, it's like, I feel like it's 100 mini jobs in one. So it really does just take time and whatever, like what comes in. So I feel like that first week it's crazy because you're like, am I really going to be able to learn how to do all of these different things? But then eventually like get there and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Grayson and I were talking. I moved to the planning department last summer. And even there, now having been at this company at the time, just a year, learning even just a new department is challenging, but it just takes time and eventually you get it down and you're a valued member of that department or team.
Yeah, a lot of emotions going around. But next. So next question will be, describe the firm when you first started to where it is now. What did you like/admire about the growth/process?
Nick, you have to take this one.
I'm sorry, this one. So being the first one here to start, for a little bit in my first couple months, I was the only person in the operations team. So at this point, 4 people in operations, 5 or 6 in planning, 6 in PM. The growth within those departments is obviously huge, but we didn't have a marketing department. And now we're sitting in this room doing this podcast, which is crazy in and of itself. There's a lot of things that when I first started, you could kind of just get by just word of mouth or just throw it in Salesforce. But now we need processes for everything. Because as you grow, more people, more clients, more everything, it's a lot harder to keep track of everything word of mouth. So.
And we're still growing.
Oh, yeah.
This is we may look back at this video and be like, wow.
I love telling people every time I go home, like the story of my job and how we started. Like there was only Nick in ops and we started out with maybe like, I think 7 advisors. And then just how many people we have now, how far we've grown. I really love to emphasize like the growing pains because when people think about it, they just think of like starting point to where we are now rather than like the process of how we got here. It's really cool to see just how much of a collaborative effort the firm has together to really be able to grow and contribute all of the new processes that we have.
Yeah.
I think super cool thing too to mention was a month ago we had everyone from Texas come up here.
Yeah.
So
that was great.
The entire company being together was was a really crazy thing to see, knowing from where we came.
Yeah, even we started on the 5th and 6th floor, and now we're on the 9th floor.
Started on even the office move, because like that's when I started. We were still downstairs, and even just seeing from there to now, I remember like going in with Michelle like upstairs and seeing she was like, and this is where BD's gonna go, and this is where this department that doesn't exist yet is going to go. I feel like that is so cool because obviously they have the vision and you get to be a part of it. And that was also like very early on when I started too. So
well, and all of these, this is to the credit of James and Michelle and leadership of having the vision and you know, knowing what the next move is. And so it's very valuable to be working somewhere where you know that, you know, we're always growing. It's growth mindset.
Absolutely. Perfect. Elise, next.
Yes. Ooh, how did you prepare for your first big kid job? Did you talk to friends/family? Yes and yes. I feel like it's so interesting because everyone, you know, starts at different times. A couple of us, we started like in June, less than a month after graduation. So like for me, I moved 2 days before I started. So it was like being a big kid all at once in one weekend. But I definitely—
From Texas too. It's not like you were down the street.
No, like I packed up my car, moved into a whole new city, whole new house. And then 2 days later, I was like driving to my big kid job. But yeah, definitely called my mom multiple times.
On the car ride there?
On the car ride there, on the car ride home. Google Maps my way to the office. Like, I think it's just, you just kind of have to do it. Like, it's one of those things. And the change is so fast and so quick, but it's a good change. But yeah, definitely friends, family got me through my first week.
Yeah, and then once you settle in, everything is,
everything is like, goes so much smoother. But yeah, that first week is definitely crazy because you're like, wow, I am an adult.
And most of us, sorry, Victoria, went to Virginia Tech, so we're familiar with the same people. I knew Grayson from class. I knew Luke from class. So talking to them before Luke and I started together, and asking Grayson questions like, "Hey, what should I wear?" But it you know,
do I need to show up in a suit?
Right? Yeah. So these things make it, you know, a bit easier.
I think it was mostly just my dad drilling over and over in my head and repeat, hey, make sure to dress up on your first day. First impressions always matter. And it's like, if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. So making sure that I knew the route was also it. But I think what really kept me up that night right before the first day was the fact that I had to drive on the highway. And I had to just like mind map the whole route there and what's the best way to get there and pray that I didn't get lost.
Nice.
You made it.
I did.
What was your first week in operations like? So, as we've talked about, when you start at Bogart Wealth in the AGT program, you first join the operations department as a client service associate. The first week for me was very interesting. It all, like I said before, it all happens fast. You get a lot of information all at once. You tell yourself, how am I going to be able to, you know, get all of this and do a good job doing it? But it just comes with time. I think, you know, starting and meeting everybody's very friendly. It makes it easy. So that's what it was like for me.
Yeah, it was the first couple of days. It was just Nick teaching me how to do things. And then it got to the point where I was like, I need to start doing it or else I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I'd be on the other side and I'd be filling out forms. And I think the only thing that I was very reluctant to do was answer the phone.
The phone's tough. That was my biggest, like, I got so nervous. And it's so funny because me and Sarah were talking about it the other day. I was on the phone with a client in Schwab Alliance for like 40 minutes and she teams to me and she's like, remember when you used to be so nervous to answer the phones? And now, and like, it's so funny. Like we were talking about that. We were like, yeah, like when you first started is so scary. Cause I think the biggest fear is like, what if I don't know what to say? And it's like, you're probably not going to know what to say. You just have to figure out how to just kind of like articulate, and
maneuver around it.
And you come here well prepared, whether that be with school or Victoria took CFP classes, you know, post grad. But you come here knowing a lot more than you may give yourself credit for.
Definitely.
I think another thing that people can relate to is in ops, the first week is a lot of just shadowing. You're going to sit there, watch them learn. The second week, you're kind of sitting in your own cubicle. Everyone's kind of familiar with the game of whack-a-mole you're playing. Just popping up, asking questions. Start to feel a little bit bad asking whoever's training you.
8 billion questions every hour.
But at the end of the day, I don't think I would have learned if I didn't have who was training me there, just asking her every single question that I had.
I think one of the cool things was when Grayson first started, and there wasn't a whole lot going on, he would see the emails that would come in and then he would kind of like just do the forms, not to like actually send them in, but like so he could get practice. And I I remember one day like I was standing up and I had like peeked over and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm trying to get a hang of things just by like doing the forms. I mean, he's like, I know I can't say anything, but like just to get the practice. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's really smart of you.
That's pretty cool.
Well, you guys actually had me do that.
Yeah, that's where we got we got the idea from.
Good for Gracie.
I also did that with Luke, actually.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Next topic.
Yeah.
Next topic.
Perfect.
The opportunity to then say, hey, Brian, tell me about what's going on here.
I think, my favorite part is, I mean,